What is good? What's up? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now, and we are live right here on Chat Sports on this beautiful Tuesday, April 16th of 2024. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's Philadelphia Eagles Now Live a part of your day. And a lot of Eagles buzz going into the 2024 NFL Draft, really starting to pick up steam, starting to gather momentum. What does Howie Roseman have up his sleeve into Thursdays when the NFL Draft finally comes around? And Philadelphia in a great spot going into draft night and throughout the draft weekend because they have 3 picks inside the top 53, an opportunity to get some young marquee players for now, in the future, and really continue to stack up the depth on this Eagles roster. Coming up here on our live edition of Eagles Now, has the draft strategy been leaked for Howie Roseman and this front office? We're going to read the tea leaves. We're going to put on our Big J investigative hats to try to find out. We're going to take a look at another Philadelphia Eagles mock draft from Mel Kiper and Field Yates of ESPN. And I put together a 5-pack of Eagles rumors, juicy topics that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to share some thoughts on that. And of course, we're the most interactive Eagles show right here on YouTube. We're going to take your questions, so be a part of our mailbag. Use the hashtag Eagles or send in a super chat. Let's get the comment section going. I'm Chase Sr., producer Jake Chipper, above me and here to my right, and all of you hanging out with us all across the globe. If you're pumped up for the 2024 NFL Draft, I want everybody watching right now to type those D's in the chat. Those D's in the chat. Give the comment section the D if you're pumped up for the NFL Draft. Jack Herring, I see ya. Muhammad Akhtar, type in that D. Spencer Dennis, Carol Hosey, one of our super chatters and super thanks queens. Scott Scamola, type in that D. Spilled Milk said, Ayo Chase, you caught that. You know what I'm saying here. I had to get the attention of the people and make y'all laugh a little bit. Hey, yo!
Hey, yo!
Kyle King, Justice Dostal, Joseph Price, also giving the comment section the D. Bird Gang Tommy, I see you as well, and Carlos Rivera. For those of you here hanging out here with us, we're so glad that you're deciding to kick it with us here on Eagles Now. Continue to hang out with us for our draft coverage in the days leading up to the draft. But once the NFL Draft is here, into Thursdays from Detroit, here on Eagles Now, we will be live every single pick, every single round, all 3 days. So hit that sub button if you haven't already done so. And of course, go Birds. I want you to shout out your city now in the comment section as well. Where are you watching from? We're coming to you from the Chat Sports Studios here in Dallas, Texas. That's where we're located. I'm from Westchester. Producer Chip is from Bucks County. We're here because that's where our digital sports network is located, and we're here in the city where the Dallas Cowboys have not made it to the NFC Championship game in about 3 decades. It's beautiful. Chip and I always walk around and we go, E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. How about them Cowboys? And nobody can really say anything to us. Sometimes when I hit the running trail that I go on every single day, I'll wear some Eagles gear and people will just look at me absolutely disgusted. And I'm just walking with the big smile on my face because I know those Cowboys are cow frauds. Sacramento from Angel. Richard Moore is in Utah. Carlos is in Florida. The Chef Matt, Upper Darby, very nice. Upper Darby has some good spots, good bars and restaurants. North Carolina from Scott. Sacktown, California from Kayla. Jack Herring is in Nebraska. Spencer Dennis is in Philadelphia. Kevin Bo Brown, I love the nickname Bo. He's hanging out from San Antonio, Texas. Spilled Milk. Question for y'all. Do you guys think that a Patrick Surtain trade is realistic? I heard from some sources that the Broncos were desperate to trade him in order to get a franchise quarterback in the draft. And we talked about some of the reporting about the Broncos being desperate to move up in the draft to get their future quarterback, and in order to matriculate up the draft board, they might have to part ways with Patrick Surtain. I think the reality for Philadelphia, if they really want Surtain, They have to trade number 22 overall away and maybe a 4th-round pick as well. I don't think they're going to part with 2 of their second-round selections at 50 and 53, but that's probably the asking price on top of giving Patrick Surtain a contract extension. Do you just elect to draft the cornerback at 22 overall and pay that corner a fraction of the price of Patrick Surtain, who is going to demand $20+ million on his new contract? For everybody watching right now, if you so kindly want to donate to the show, send in a tip, otherwise known on the YouTube streets as a super chat. Here's our super chat menu. We're always down to clown. All super chats get a shout out. $10 gets you in the running for our April jersey race. That'll be in play for the NFL draft as well. So anytime you send in a $10 super chat to support the show, we put you in the running to win a jersey here from us at Chat Sports. $20, we'll do some Eagles shots. $50, sign the Eagles helmet. $100, I will do a shotgun. Another reminder, if you want to get your questions and your takes featured on the show, use the hashtag Eagles or send in a super chat. And ladies and gentlemen, we got to get the likes up, or we're going to have to cancel the stream. That's what the bosses are telling me in my ear right now. 114 people watching live, now up to 119 people watching live, but only 23 likes. Where are the real ones at, Chip?
Come on, baby, let's do it.
Where are the real ones at? Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you're ready to talk some birds. Our recent commenter club, Carol Hosey, Little G. Griffith, Jeffrey Crosborn, Troy Singleton, Kayla Thompson, Angel, give me some Sacramento Philly bars. I love it because we have a couple of people tuned in from Sacramento. Roel, shout out from Texas, and Slinky watching from New England. Kayla Thompson, go Birds! And Kayla is a first-time Super Chatter. Thank you, Kayla, so much for sending in that donation. And with that, you enter our April jersey race. We'll announce the winner at the end of the month, and whoever wins, you will get a Philadelphia Eagles jersey as we get you in the running for that. All right, continue to like the video. We're up to 33 likes right now. Up to 33 likes. Can we get to 50 before we start the show? To be honest with you, it really does support the program here, and it's a free way to support the show. The more likes that we get, the more people who discover us, and the more fun that we will have. Loaded show coming your way on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. Has the Eagles draft strategy been leaked? That is going to be segment number 1 on the program for today. Really appreciate everybody for coming to hang out here with us. We have 3 segments coming your way, and I hope that you continue to kick it here with us for the most informative, most insightful, most entertaining Eagles coverage right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Producer Chip's ready to go. I am Chase Sr. I'm ready to go. We have people rocking and rolling with us from every pocket of America, as well as all across the globe. You're ready to talk some birds right now as well. So let's do the damn thing. All right, what's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. On the docket, has the Philadelphia Eagles draft strategy been leaked? We're gathering more intel on what the Eagles might do in the 2024 NFL Draft coming up at the end of this month in just a couple of Thursdays. Before we dive into all of this, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are going to be live for every pick, every day, all 7 rounds of the 2024 NFL Draft right here on Eagles Now. It's very simple. Lock us in, hit that sub button, and as always, go Birds. Today's program is also sponsored by 8 Sleep. If you want to improve your sleep, make sure you do it with 8 Sleep. $200 off their new pod cover in addition to free shipping if you use that link at the bottom of your screen, 8sleep.com/chatsports. Let's first set the foundation by taking a gander at all of the Philadelphia Eagles draft selections coming up in the draft from Detroit. Eagles first on the clock, round 1, pick 22 overall. They have 2 second-round picks, which I think are extremely valuable. 50 and 53. No third round pick, but back on the clock. Round 4, pick 120 from Pittsburgh. That's from that Kenny Pickett trade. Round 5, 161 from Tampa Bay. And then 3 compensatory picks to round things out for the Birds. Round 5, 171, round 5, 172, and their final pick, round 6, 210. We know that Howie Roseman is really aggressive, so I would be very surprised if this list of Eagles draft picks does hold firm. As for the Eagles draft strategy, this is my best read given what Roseman has done as the team's general manager since he's taken over and then got that job back after Chip Kelly banished him out of the building pretty much. Howie Roseman is always a player to get aggressive, to try to improve his football team, and if he has to move up, and if it makes sense for the organization, both with the trade and with the player that they covet, he's going to look into those opportunities. The Eagles also like to trade back to gather picks. Could that be a strategy, let's say, at 50 and 53, when you have those 2 second rounders but no third, and you want to pick up a third rounder because you like how the board is falling going into the final day of the draft? The typical strategy for Philadelphia, best player available. They have learned from, let's say, the Jalen Reagor pick, drafting for need instead of best player available. And we know that Howie Roseman really likes to fortify the trenches along the offensive line and the defensive line. My biggest Eagles draft needs, there are many of them, even though I really like the construction of this roster and what the Birds have done throughout this offseason. Cornerback, offensive line depth, safety, linebacker, wide receiver 3, backup running back, edge rusher, and interior defensive lineman. Now, ESPN gathered and shared some intel from the local front, Tim McManus, who's on the beat covering the Eagles for ESPN, as well as the perspective from a national draft expert and NFL insider on what the Eagles could do come draft day. Let's first take a look at the local spin here from Tim McManus. He thinks Philadelphia could go with the cornerback position in the first round. He said cornerback, the defense finished second to last in passing yards, 253 per game last year, and passing touchdowns, giving up 35. They need to bolster the position both for the upcoming season and for the future with Darius Slay, 33 years old, James Bradbury, 31 in August, both on the backside of their careers. While younger cornerbacks on the roster like Isaiah Rodgers coming off that gambling suspension and Kelee Ringo offer some promise, selecting one of the top prospects at the position might be just what the doctor ordered for this defense. And outside of the cornerback position, you look at what the Eagles have been able to accomplish in free agency so far. Howie has gotten a lot younger on the defensive side of the football. The Eagles were top 5 as far as the oldest defensive units in the NFL in 2023. They're 3 years younger on that side of the ball going into 2024, and they're set to get even younger with some rookie draft picks set to join this team who do get drafted by the Eagles. And Howie has said that obviously you have to find your franchise quarterback. The Eagles did that with Jalen Hurts. They paid him. But his team-building strategy outside of finding a quarterback, build up the offensive line, build up the defensive line, and specifically when constructing and fortifying the roster on the defensive side of the rock, he likes to build up the line, and then he looks at cornerback as the second biggest priority after the defensive line on the defense. But you take a thought and a look at the Eagles draft history here, especially with Howie Roseman running this front office, and then in the early 2000s when Joe Banner and Andy Reid were running this front office, the Eagles draft history at the cornerback spot in the first round is pretty interesting and fascinating because the Eagles have not taken a corner in the first round since 2002 when they drafted Lito Shepherd out of Florida. His career short-lived as far as how long he played in the NFL, but he ended up being a Pro Bowl and an all-pro level player for those Jim Johnson defenses in the early 2000s and was a big part of their success. And when you look at this Eagles roster right now, I don't think there's any doubt. This is the biggest need for now and in the future because defenses have an increasing expectation to build their rosters in a certain way to stop what offenses are increasingly doing, and that's throwing the football. And right now, the Eagles secondary at the cornerback spot is simply just not good enough. And I like the high-end corners in this draft class. My cornerback big board for the 2024 draft class, Quinion Mitchell is my favorite corner out of Toledo. I know he played at a smaller school, but he had 19 pass breakups last year, and his Pro Football Focus numbers were terrific. I like the length, the speed, the physicality, and the swagger. Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama, I think is better than his teammate Terrion Arnold. I think he's more of a proven product right now. He's coming off that Jones fracture, but I love his ball skills, his toughness, and his dog mentality. He's my second favorite corner, followed by his teammate in Arnold. Nate Wiggins, 4.3 40-yard dash, extremely quick, but I worry about the lack of bulk to his size. And Cooper DeJean, I think that he's going to be able to play corner, but I think he's going to play safety. I think he's going to be a chess piece for whichever team drafts him. I think he's a total possibility for the Eagles at number 22 overall, and he's a big-time playmaker. A lot of his interceptions at Iowa went back for pick sixes. I really, really like the player, but he's my fifth-ranked corner in this draft class. Here's the national perspective from Matt Miller of ESPN after we got the local insight from Tim McManus. He thinks the Eagles are going to go offensive line. And this is what he said. I continue to hear in conversations with scouts around the league that general manager Howie Roseman could look to solidify the right tackle spot early in the draft, even in round one. Tyler Guyton has spent time in the pre-draft process training with current Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson. He also went to Oklahoma, by the way. The Eagles started planning ahead at center before Jason Kelce's retirement with Cam Jurgens, and drafting Guyton, who started just 14 games in college, would allow him to learn and develop under Johnson and famed offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. It's time to pop up our poll question for today's show. What would you rather do if you were in this front office and you were Howie Roseman? Would you rather draft a cornerback, draft an offensive lineman, or go with a different position? And if that is other, then I want you to list what that position is down in the comment section right now. Coming up next, we are only ramping up on today's Eagles. Now, Eagles draft strategy leaked part 2, because there's a lot more to get to. First, today's show is sponsored by 8 Sleep, the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling technology that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I love 8 Sleep for a multitude of reasons. I know how healthy I am because I get good sleep, and when I don't get a quality night's sleep, I'm just not feeling as good. I'm sluggish, brain fog, and I just don't feel my normal self. Sleep science shows that in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of the sleep and rise in the morning, and that's what the pod cover does. It can allow you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. And in addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. I'm telling you right now, there's no better way to improve your day-to-day life better than sleep. And the easiest way to do that, the 8 Sleep Pod 3, you put the device right next to your bed. You control the temperature right from the power of your own phone. And if you use our link for the intelligent sleep system, 8sleep.com/chatsports, you get $200 off, in addition to free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Invest in the rest that you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Let's continue to do some scouting on Tyler Guyton before we get to some talk about Cooper DeJean. Tyler Guyton, interesting upbringing. He grew up playing a lot of basketball. He thought that was going to be his sport of choice. He was recruited as an athlete to go to TCU. Can you imagine a guy of this size just being recruited as an athlete? Goes to show you just the special ability that he has with that frame and body type. He hopped in with some tight ends at TCU, moved to offensive line. His first collegiate start, he actually played H-back for TCU. Now, what this means is that Guyton is a really good athlete. And at the offensive tackle spot, you're looking for good athletes who have that quick first step, to go back in pass coverage, who can get out in space on some of those pull blocks to block defensive players, to pave open running lanes for your running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. And the Eagles love these types of athletic freaks, especially at the offensive line. Jordan Mailata, former rugby player. Lane Johnson used to play quarterback and tight end. Jason Kelsey really started a new wave of teams taking chances on centers who were well under 300 pounds because he ran that sub-5 40-yard dash at the NFL Scouting Combine. So the Eagles really like taking chances on these types of players. And when I scout Tyler Guyton, he stands at 6'7", 322 pounds. We're talking about a freak athlete here. And when I saw him at the NFL Scouting Combine, some of these offensive linemen, you see they're pudgy and they have that hula hoop waist just going over their belt line. That's how offensive linemen used to be made up way back in the day, especially when you were going up against some nose tackles who were just there to take up a lot of real estate. But now you have to go up against defensive tackles like Chris Jones and Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox. And now teams building up their offensive linemen on the interior, on the outside, they want really good athletes here. And Guyton, light and balanced in pass protection, 15 career starts, you can tell because he is a little bit raw, comfortable on the right side. I don't think he's ever going to take over on the left side. That's okay. You have Jordan Mailata there, and you just signed him to a contract extension. And if he stays motivated, if this player stays healthy, he has tremendous upside. Now to Cooper DeJean here, a fan favorite for a lot of Eagles fans out there. Peter Schrager, NFL Network, Good Morning Football, just released his first mock draft this week. And he has the Eagles taking Cooper DeJean. This is of note here because Schrager has spent weeks on the phone talking with general managers, talking with head coaches all across the league, gathering some important intel. And he's one of the more plugged-in NFL personalities in media right now. So I put stock in what he has to say, and he has Cooper DeJean going number 22 overall to Philadelphia. DeJean had an outstanding college career, Schrager said, and showed out at his private workout. He could play corner, he could play safety, and is a special teams Swiss Army knife. Is 22 overall too rich? Maybe, but I can see him in an Eagles uniform. Now, other NFL mock drafts have DeJean going later. They have DeJean even going in the teens. I get really intrigued by the thought of Vic Fangio using Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Cooper DeJean as chess pieces and Swiss Army knives for this defense. Vic Fangio can get very creative with how he utilizes players, putting them in a position to succeed, to maximize their strengths. And that's what he could do with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Cooper DeJean, just providing a lot of different looks, a lot of different formations for opposing offenses to have to game plan against. And speaking of strengths, Cooper DeJean has a lot of them. He's a freak athlete. I watched some basketball tape of him. My man had some serious balance, and he can play a variety of techniques at that cornerback spot. I think he anticipates well. He backpedals well. He played quarterback in high school. He credits his anticipatory skills at defensive back, just making a read for where quarterbacks are going and then making a beat on the football because he played quarterback in high school, so he knows what the quarterbacks are thinking internally. What's interesting here is that DeJean had 7 career interceptions at Iowa. He returned 3 of them for touchdowns. I'm not saying he's Ed Reed by any means, but has that Ed Reed quality that when he gets his hands on the football, because he does have special teams value as a returner, and because he's a 4.4 40-yard dash guy and a really good athlete, he's a threat to take it to the crib. And I think that his role at the NFL level could be a versatility role like Trent McDuffie. And I thought that Steve Spagnuolo utilized him perfectly in the Super Bowl. Corner blitzes, hybrid linebacker, slot corner, just using him as a weapon. You know how basketball's become positionless? Cooper DeJean can be a positionless player at the NFL level. The weaknesses and the concerns. He is coming off a fractured fibula. He does give up initial separation at times. There are questions for people who don't like positionless players. Is he a corner? Is he a safety? Some defenses are very rigid with how they want to use players. They want to use them in one spot. And he can get a little bit handsy in coverage. That does lead to some penalties thrown. But you go back to the athleticism here, And he did not test at the NFL Scouting Combine because of that broken leg. He did have that private workout that Peter Schrager noted in his mock draft. He scored a 9.89 on the Math Bomb Relative Athletic Score on a scale of 0 to 10. Translation, fantastic athlete. Stands at 6 feet, 203 pounds, 16 reps of 225 on the bench press. Great vertical leap at 38.5 inches and a 4.43 40-yard dash. He's certainly twitchy, 31-inch arms as well. So your one-word reaction to the Eagles drafting Cooper DeJean would be what? For me, it's versatility. You share your thoughts and your one-word reaction with us down in the comment section right now. Super chat to get to from that segment, Flipping the Bird 85. Humble brag, he's just rocking the profile picture right there with Brian Dawkins, Eagles legend. He said, "What's up, Chase? You guys are the GOAT." Midnight green and white confetti dropping this season, baby. Let's go! Flipping the Bird. We appreciate that. And then FTB also sent in a $20 super chat. Cooper DeJean is my first-round choice, but I'd love Troy Fuatano, start him at guard, have him graduate from Stoutland University as a starting right tackle when Lane Johnson retires, or Jackson Powers Johnson, day one starter with JPJ. I think Cooper DeJean can play right from the jump. I think Troy Fuatano is an immediate starter at right guard, in this instance for Philadelphia. Eventually could play tackle, but sometimes has a propensity for giving up inside moves. I know that I had said he has shorter arms. He doesn't. He actually has 34-inch arms, so that was an error on my part when I was doing some draft research and scouting some prospects. Why people think that he's going to play on the interior is just because he gives up inside moves a lot, so you put him on the inside, can't give up those inside moves. And there are a couple of centers who I really like in this draft class. Jackson Powers Johnson is one out of Oregon. Graham Barton out of Duke is another one. And then Zach Frazier out of West Virginia. All of them are very similar, that they're pretty quick, they're pretty powerful, and they're nasty cats. I love it. FTB with his own scouting report right there. And then Emmanuel Henderson. If the Eagles did draft a wide receiver in the first or second round, which receiver would be a perfect fit for the Eagles? So you have your boundary wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, or do you want to go with Devontae Smith on the slot and A.J. Brown on the outside? It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an outside wide receiver, A.D. Mitchell is one of my draft crushes. If you want a speed threat, and A.D. Mitchell, by the way, good size, really good speed, everything to his route tree. I think he's going to be a dog at the next level. I think he's going to be a better pro player than he was a college player. Xavier Worthy, his teammate, 4.21 40-yard dash. Do you want a Deshaun Jackson-like player who grew up idolizing Deshaun Jackson, who gives you returnability as well, and is that vertical threat to take the top off of the defense? That's what Xavier Worthy is. Do you want a slot wide receiver? Then you go Ladd McConkey in the first round, potentially. You could trade back to get him. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Roman Wilson is a second or third round pick, in my opinion. Do you go later with a player like Luke McCaffrey? You could go Brendan Rice if you want to get a third rounder. If you're in that first round, second round fringe zone, then you're looking at players like Troy Franklin out of Oregon, Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He kind of reminds me of this body type of an A.J. Brown. Malachi Corley is a Deebo Samuel clone. Very good with the yak. Brian Thomas out of LSU is a player that you could get at 22. You can move up to take him. Has size, has speed. So it really depends on what the Eagles are looking for. Just gave you a bunch of names right there. You could go Des Walker a little bit later if you want that vertical threat, who could probably be a day 3 guy out of UNC, played with Drake May. Here's our Super Chat menu. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10 April jersey race, $20 some Eagles shots, $50 you sign the Eagles helmet, $100 and we will shotgun here on the show. And the shotgun, I guarantee you, will be faster than Xavier Worthy's 4.21 40-yard dash.
Woo.
These are the shots that I'm doing. I tried to make this green and I failed incredibly. But either way, cheers to Emmanuel Henderson and Flipping the Bird.
Well, you know what? If it was green, they might not even be able to see it.
That's true.
At least
That's
they can see it now. At least
it would
they can
blend in
see
with
it
the
now.
green screen.
He said, guarantee. Guarantee.
That's a guarantee.
That's a Charles Barkley guarantee right there.
Anthony Bonanno said, "Why scream in the mic? He gave me the middle finger and he called me a clown." That's pretty wild because I don't think that I've yelled today. And Anthony, I do have a tip for you. There's something called volume, and you could just turn down the volume and not have it all the way up. So then, therefore, I wouldn't be yelling at you if you just turn the volume down. But also, I will say this, when people send in super chats and they use their hard-earned money to donate to the show and send us a tip, we're very appreciative of that. We're going to be excited, and we're going to show them love. If you don't like that, this probably isn't the channel for you. And if you don't like that, you're just not supporting the real ones who are actually real ones to support the show. So we could just give you a middle finger back, but we're actually going to be classy. We're not going to do that, and we're not going to call you a clown. We're just going to say, turn the volume down, or you don't have to watch. If you want to get on the show here on Eagles Now, use the hashtag Eagles, or send in a super chat. You could be a part of the mailbag. We're already up to $55 in donations. I'll make a deal. If we get to $100 total on today's show, I'll do a shotgun. Or if you send in a $100, I'll do a shotgun for you. Coming up next, we are going to take a look at the Field Yates and Mel Kiper 3-round mock draft. Now, the Eagles do not have a 3rd-round pick, but they do have 3 picks that Kiper and Field Yates both looked at. Exactly, Millie 315. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. Anthony Bonanno going crazy. He's a hater. We don't care. All right, segment number 2 is coming up right now, live on Eagles Now. Let's get it, and let's not yell. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. So many great content options out there on YouTube as far as Eagles content. So many talented Eagles content creators out there. I believe I'm one of them. That's why I'm always so appreciative that you decide to hang out here with us. Coming up on the show, we're going to look at Field Yates and Mel Kiper's combined 3-round mock draft to see who the ESPN NFL draft experts have Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles taking in the upcoming 2024 NFL Draft. Before we take a look at those prospects, if you're hype, if you're excited for the upcoming draft, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, go Birds, EAGLES. Let's take a look at the Eagles 2024 NFL Draft picks, and for this 3-round mock for Field Yates and Mel Kiper, the Eagles do not have a 3rd-round selection, but of note, they have 3 picks inside the top 53. So Mel Kiper, Field Yates taking 3 players for Philadelphia. Those selections, round 1, pick 22, round 2 at 50, round 2 a couple of picks later at 53rd overall, and there you see the rest of the picks for Howie Roseman and this front office. Let's get it underway, and let's get it ramped up with the Eagles selection in the 1st round, 22nd overall. And it's Field Yates who makes the selection. And the Eagles stand pat here. They don't move up. They don't trade back. And they go with a very intriguing developmental right tackle in Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Here's the write-up from Field Yates and the explanation behind the pick, and we'll give you our scouting report and some thoughts on it here. Lane Johnson will be turning 34 years old, so Philly might be motivated to add depth at the position, something it did in advance of Jason Kelce's retirement too. Mims had just 803 career snaps under his belt, but exhibits all-world physical tools, and learning from legendary offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland would be great for him. I completely agree with that. If you're going to take a chance on a prospect like Amarius Mims, who has 8 starts, just over 800 career snaps, you want to have an offensive line coach like Jeff Stoutland who's going to be able to get him under his watch, under his tutelage, develop him, and you're going to have to live with some rough moments in the early going. You're going to have to deal with some rough patches. But on Tuesday, Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni held a pre-draft press conference, and one of the big takeaways from that, they're completely fine with taking a player who does not play this year in order to develop them down the road because Philadelphia's roster doesn't have a lot of holes. Mims has freakish ability. He has loads of talent, and this would be a very fun and developmental project for Jeff Stoutland. When I scout him and you look at his background, Amarius Mims, a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's actually the #1 overall player in the state of Georgia. Just that great size at 6'7", 340 pounds. His arm length is unbelievable for an offensive tackle. 36 and an 1/8-inch arms. That's crazy. And at 340 pounds, he ran a 5.07 40-yard dash. Unfortunately, at the NFL Scouting Combine when we were there, we only saw him run once because he pulled his hamstring. Minimal bad weight. When I saw him at the Combine, he's not pudgy. He's not thick by any means. He's just a big, freakish dude who's very, very tall, but has a really good muscular frame, kind of in the mold of a Lane Johnson. He's powerful, athletic, mobile, very comfortable in space. Eagles like to get their offensive linemen out in space. We've seen the legendary clips of Jordan Mailata and Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, pancaking cats downfield. The worries here, 8 career starts, and sometimes Amarius Mims at 6'7", 340 can play upright at times so he can get uprooted by strong edge rushers who have a lot of leverage. If you pair him with Jeff Stoutland, the sky could be the limit for him. And he doesn't have to play in 2024. You have Lane Johnson at right tackle. You could roll with Tyler Steen at right guard, Cam Jurgens at center, but you use this year as a year to groom this young player. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Eagles Now for more draft coverage in the lead up to the draft coming up on April 25th, but also on draft night, we will be live for every pick, every day, all 7 rounds, talking about every single prospect. Can't wait for it. Go Birds. Lock us in and hit that subscribe button. More to get to here on the show around the corner, but first, today's Eagles Now is sponsored by Prize Picks, America's favorite, America's #1, and America's largest independently run daily fantasy sports app. And they have the best deal that any DFS app has to offer. $100 deposit match if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Prize Picks, more than any other DFS app, makes daily fantasy sports made easy, where you pick 2 or more players and you choose more or less on their projected stat totals. Let's take a look at some Eagles futures here. Get ahead of the game with us. A.J. Brown for the 2024 season, ladies and gentlemen. More than 7.5 receiving touchdowns? I'm all about that, boss. Jalen Hurts, more than 3,675.5 passing yards. He could be a 4,000 guy in Kellen Moore's offense with these weapons. Saquon Barkley, more than 1,055 rushing yards. We like the more there because with Saquon, I think he could have 2,000 all-purpose yards if he stays healthy. And then Derrick Henry, more than 10.5 rushing touchdowns. You put him with Lamar Jackson, you use him as a goal line threat, he's going to run it into pay dirt a lot this year. Win big money, withdraw your winnings, all within the Prize Picks app. Pick more, pick less. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. That link is hanging out down in the comment section and in the description of this video. Now let's go to round 2 for Philadelphia. 2 picks here, 50 and 53. 50th overall pick. It's Field Yates making the selection once again with some insight, of course, from Mel Kiper throughout this mock draft as well. And the Eagles are selecting Rutgers cornerback Max Melton. Here's what Yates had to say about the New Jersey product. Didn't grow up far away from Philadelphia, but did grow up a Niner fan. I asked him that at the NFL Scouting Combine. Yates, the Eagles need to get faster on defense and add cornerback depth, both of which Melton would assist with in a major way. He's a 4-year starter with excellent ball skills. I like Melton's athleticism. I like his ball skills. Making plays on the football, I think, is so important to have as a cornerback in this league. I also like his ability to play inside-outside. He can play inside right now, and then in the future, as Darius Slay gets older, as James Bradbury gets older, and he might be cooked altogether, you can move Max Melton out to the outside when he's ready. Stands at 5'11", $187. NFL Combine, he surprised me by running a 4.39 40-yard dash. So he clearly has that straight line speed to stick with some burners at the wide receiver spot. He's just really an explosive athlete. I also like his experience. 40 starts in 4 years. I think that he could be a plug-and-play guy right from the jump. 30 pass breakups in 3 seasons, so easy math, that's an average of 10 per year. that backs up the consensus of him being a guy who has ball skills, that inside-outside versatility, as I mentioned. He's physical, he's tough, has a dog mentality. He was rocking a dope chain at the NFL Scouting Combine, so he's got a little swagger. He could play right away. He gives you special teams impact, too. He had 4 punt blocks throughout his career. He had 3 blocked kicks in 2022 alone, which led the nation. His weakness, he sometimes can get handsy. That can lead to some penalties. And a few years ago, he was arrested for a paintball incident and something that he did apologize for, in which I think he shot at like 3 people or something along those lines. But hey, we all make mistakes, and we've all been young and dumb at some point. Second round, 53rd overall. Telling you what, Field Yates, Mel Kiper crushing this mock. This is Mel Kiper's selection here. Philadelphia Eagles selecting a favorite of mine, Texas A&M linebacker Edgerrin Cooper. Hold me back, fam. Hold me back, fam. I really like the outcome of this mock. Amarius Mims, perennial all-pro talent. Max Melton, really good corner with good ball skills, very experienced, can play inside right from the jump, outside in the future. And then you get your linebacker in round 2 in Edgerrin Cooper, who has freak ability. Here's what Mel Kiper had to say about Coop. Can you imagine those chants in South Philly ringing out at Lincoln Financial Field? Cooper might have been a first-round pick if he was drafted 10 years earlier. Teams just don't value off-ball linebackers these days, which I think is wrong, by the way. But he is my top-ranked player at the position. The Philly defense fell apart last year, and it has to get younger. They definitely have to get younger. And I disagree that teams like the Eagles don't value off-ball linebackers. How many of these teams are running crossers? How many of these teams are running tight ends down the seam, down the numbers, when you need quality off-ball linebackers? How many times last year did teams target the middle area of the field because they knew that the Eagles were really thin there and it was a weakness there? All the time. Now you have Devin White, Edgerrin Cooper, and the speed at the linebacker spot, the possibilities there with them wrecking the game from sideline to sideline. That's juicy stuff. Scouting report on Edgerrin Cooper. Tall, 6'2", 230. I think he can build on that frame. Has speed, 4.5 40-yard dash, 34-inch arms, 80 inches on top of that, and a quarter wingspan. Great closing speed. He can really, really run well. He's rangy, covers good ground. That's what you need to do against slot wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs on those wheel routes. 30.5 TFLs the last 3 years. So about an average of 10 per year. That's just a really good number at the college level. He did break out in 2023 with the career high, 8 sacks, and all of his sacks in his career coming in 2023. So you can use him as a blitzer in addition to a coverage linebacker. The weaknesses here, he can be late to recover. Sometimes he gets over-aggressive and he overcommits. He might be a special teamer to start, but a 3-down backer a little bit later. Vic Fangio has coached up the linebacker spot. He's developed the linebacker spot. I think he brings the best out of Devin White. I think he can do the same with Edgerrin Cooper. So grade the Kiper Yates mock. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give this one an A. I really like the thought process here and the players that they selected. You let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Our Super Chat menu. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10, April jersey race. $20, we're doing some Eagles shots. $50, sign the Eagles helmet. $100, we're shotgunning. Dennis Designs is back. He gives it an A. Frightening if you bring some of those freaks on this Eagles team. I'm telling you right now. All right, last segment coming up. We're going to go through a 5-pack of Eagles rumors, and then we're going to take your questions. We'll go through all of the Super Chats that have come in. You want to be guaranteed to be on the show? Send in a Super Chat. But last call to use the hashtag Eagles.
Let's go, baby. Where are these questions at? We don't have a single hashtag Eagles question yet. We have some Super Chats with some really good questions, but no one's asking a question yet using hashtag Eagles. Plenty of opportunity to get in the show right now. There's no one else in front of you.
Let's go.
Hashtag Eagles, get that question on the show. The draft is what? 7, 8, let's say Tuesday? 9 days away?
9 days away.
9 days away? That's math right there. Daniel, funny question. I don't think Max Melton is related to DeAnthony Melton. That's funny.
I do not think so, no. That's funny.
Yeah, no relation there.
No, his dad played at Rutgers. He had some brothers play at the college level, I think Delaware State, who played Temple a few years ago.
It's a good question from Dennis. We'll get that one on the show for sure. Get a couple more in here, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, hashtag Eagles, Super Chat.
Get those questions in,
Avante Maddox. That's Dennis Designs' favorite. That's sarcasm right there.
Great question from Eric Millis. Awesome stuff. We'll get that one on the show for sure. All right, here now they're rolling on in here.
You love to see it. King Javier. Eagles need to draft a wide receiver.
Plenty of options. Plenty of options. Even late. Never know. You never know. All right, we're about to get into it, so last chance, and we're getting into it.
Yep, 5-pack of Eagles rumors coming up for our last segment here. We are $46 away from 100 in Super Chats on the show. If we get there, I'm shotgunning a beer, and I guarantee you it's going to be faster than Xavier Worthy's 40-yard dash. Reed Barkus, what's up, brother? You might see him next week. He might be on the stream on Eagles now. He said he'd shotgun a beer. He said, what up, brother? We just hired him. Believe it or not.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? Dennis Designs, a $20 Super Chat. Still worried about the middle. Same as last year. I hope Devin White will make a difference. Me too. I'll explain further what I'm thinking there coming up in the mailbag. Carol Hosey, Chase, we love you here. Carol, we love you here. Valley Springs, California. Go Birds from Stephen Cockle. What up, Stevie? John Monroe. Ideal trade-up partner. 22-20, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Seahawks could trade back. I think the Jags at 17 could trade back. Those are a couple of trade-up partners right there. Cool, let's do it. Born ready. Third segment coming up right now. We have a 5-pack of Eagles rumors on the docket for today's Philadelphia Eagles now, and 5 burning questions I want to get to. Also, we're going to take your questions and your hot takes from some of our loyal subscribers right here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for rocking with us, and we appreciate 8 Sleep for making today's show possible. Get $200 off the pod cover by going to 8sleep.com/chatsports. If you want to improve your sleep, make sure you do it with 8 Sleep. All of that information is available for you down in the show notes and in the comment section of this video. So my 5-pack of birds, rumors, and birds burning questions. I want you to say that 10 times fast down in the comment section. Number 1, can the Philadelphia Eagles realistically trade for Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons? In case you missed it, we talked about this last week. The buzz in Dallas right now is Micah Parsons is up for a contract extension when he does get paid. I think he's going to overtake Nick Bosa for the richest contract for a non-quarterback in the history of football, $34+ million per year. The word from the Cowboys is that they're growing tired of some of the Micah Parsons antics, him going on his podcast, him talking a little shit here and there. And this is just classic contract time where it's all about leverage. Sometimes there are these leaks that are out there, and it's all about the team trying to drive the price down, and then the agent and the player trying to drive the price tag up. And as part of that report from a radio station in Dallas, some people inside the Cowboys facility, they call it the Star in Frisco, would be relieved if Micah Parsons were to go elsewhere. I don't really put a lot of stock in that report. Micah Parsons is a generational player. The Dallas Cowboys would be idiotic to move on from a player who's been incredible his first 3 years in the National Football League. But as we know, the Cowboys do make some dumbfounding and head-scratching decisions from time to time. I did see this trade idea floated out there by 94.1 WIP, the Eagles' flagship radio station in Philadelphia, where the Eagles would receive Micah Parsons, edge rusher from Dallas, and then the Cowboys would receive Nolan Smith, who the Eagles drafted 30th overall in the 2023 draft out of Georgia, a 2024 first-round pick, which is the Eagles' own 22nd overall this year, and then a 2026 conditional third-round pick. I don't think this is the asking price for Micah Parsons. I think that it would be a lot more for Micah Parsons. That's just simply not going to be enough. And any Eagles fan who thinks that is a deal that's going to get the job done, that's going to convince the Cowboys into making that move with the division rival, you're delusional. I mean, Micah Parsons is a generational player. I think you're talking about giving up multiple first-round picks. Now, you could say, Chase, Nolan Smith was a first-rounder. 22nd overall is a first-rounder. But Nolan Smith is an unproven player. I think the Cowboys, if they get rid of Parsons, they got rid of Dak Prescott, that would signal a major overhaul and a rebuild for Dallas. And why would you want to get rid of a player of this caliber here, who comes into the league, first-round pick out of Penn State, has 13 sacks, 30 quarterback hits, and 20 TFLs. And then in year 2, 13 and a half sacks, 26 quarterback hits, and 13 TFLs. And then in 2023, a career-high 14 sacks, 33 quarterback hits, and 18 TFLs. Multiple first-rounders. If I'm Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, that is the starting point in a trade for Micah Parsons. Bird's rumor number 2, burning question number 2, is Justin Simmons still a possibility for Philadelphia in free agency? I think what the Eagles want to do, they want to see how the board falls in the NFL draft to see if they can get a safety of their choice, of their liking, of their preference. And when I was at the NFL Combine, they met with a lot of safeties in Indianapolis. I am surprised that the market has not been more robust for a player who's a 4-time All-Pro. He's a turnover-generating machine, leads the NFL in picks since coming into the league in 2016 with 30, and is a team captain. But that could mean that his asking price is a little bit too high right now, and as the days go on, the weeks go on in NFL free agency and this offseason, the price tag is decreasing a little bit. Money really isn't the problem. Philadelphia has a lot of cap space. Maybe they're just waiting out the market to see, and also waiting out to see what transpires during the draft. Number 3 is Howie Roseman, the NFL's best general manager. I think that Howie Roseman, as far as his talent evaluation goes in the NFL draft, can be a little bit better. His roster construction has been good for a short amount of time. I'd like to see him do better of building teams that have success sustainably. He's made it to 2 Super Bowls as a general manager. Won one, should have won another against the Kansas City Chiefs in 2022. But what makes Howie Roseman elite and one of the best general managers, if not the best? The Eagles still have around $50 million in cap space next offseason, with all of these marquee players on the roster, on both sides of the football. Jalen Hurts, $50 million per year contract. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith making $25 million per. You have Dallas Goedert. You have Saquon Barkley. Landon Dickerson's making $21 million per year. You gave lofty contract extensions the last 2 off seasons to Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. You gave big money to Bryce Huff, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You're paying a lot of money to Darius Slay and James Bradbury. In a way, Howie Roseman has kind of broken the system. And as far as managing the cap, honing in on these player contracts, Howie Roseman, absolutely elite. Burning question number 4 in this 5-pack, are the Eagles better going into 2024, or are they worse? keep in mind that going into the draft, they can still fortify and improve this roster. Some of the big losses this offseason, hard to replace. Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, franchise icons, franchise greats, two of the best players at their positions throughout the entire duration of their respective careers. And Hassan Reddick, who in 2 years in Philadelphia had 16 sacks year one, 11 sacks year two. The big additions, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Bryce Huff, Saquon Barkley, Devin White. So with that, we bring on producer Chip. I think the Eagles are slightly better in 2024 than they were in 2023, also because I think the coaching staff is better with Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. In fact, I think those are two of the most important offseason additions and acquisitions for Philadelphia. Producer Chip, what say you?
I agree with you on the coaching staff front, and no matter what, this team I don't think would ever be as bad as they were down the stretch of last year. Even if they brought back the same players, there was just no way that was going to happen again. To me, I would like to think they're going to be a little bit better. I like the moves they made. The one thing I'd be a little bit concerned about, they're going to be relying on a lot of new players, whether that's guys they signed their first year with the team or guys that are younger and haven't really had much experience. You know, you're hoping a Cam Jurgens can work out. You're hoping a Tyler Steen can work out, or maybe a rookie you drafted on the offensive line can step in. You're going to have to replace a Fletcher Cox, so you're hoping that Jordan Davis can be a three-down player. You know, you're hoping that Bryce Huff can come and replace what you lost in Reddick. Right. Nolan Smith can take that next step. So you're relying a lot on the edges sort of guys that haven't really 100% proved themselves. Even Bryce Huff, you know, hasn't played a whole lot of snaps. So I would like to think they're going to be a little bit better, especially because of the coaching staff, as you mentioned. But I think they're going to have to go out and prove it. I'd be a little bit worried. Regardless, though, I think the offense should at least be in a decent shape with Saquon. You know what Saquon brings. I'm not worried about him. I would agree they're a little bit better, but we have to see it before we can 100% say they'll be better.
Yeah, some feedback from people in the comment section. Antonio Holmes, way better. Estero Design, Eagles are better just based on the coordinators. I agree with that. And then Greg G, can't wait for the season to start. Some remaining holes on this roster and overall question marks and concerns. Right guard and center, wide receiver 3, defensive tackle depth, offensive line depth, linebacker, corner, safety. But again, they can address those positions in the upcoming NFL draft. And that is today's poll question, by the way. Are the Eagles better? Are they worse? Simply type B for better, W for worse in the comment section. We always love when you share your opinions on the show. And then at number 5 here, what are the Philadelphia Eagles going to do in the 2024 NFL Draft? We kind of just went over some of the weaknesses, some of the holes in the Eagles draft needs right now. No doubt, unquestionably, I think it's cornerback is priority number 1. Offensive line depth, because not only did you lose Jason Kelce, you're not really sure what Tyler Steen is at right guard. You also lost Jack Driscoll and Suo-Opeta as offensive line depth. You did bring in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but you're a little bit thin there as far as backups behind Sidney Brown. Reed Blankenship, is he a starter in this league? You have Devin White, Oren Burks, Nakobe Dean, but not a lot of depth at that linebacker spot either. Wide receiver 3, I wouldn't rule out Philadelphia taking a wideout in round 1 or round 2. Backup running back, I think you start to plan for the future a little bit because Kenny Gainwell is going to be a free agent after 2024. You can get some decent value there with the player in the mid to later rounds. Edge rusher, interior defensive lineman. Stay tuned because coming up next here on today's Eagles Now, we are going to take your questions from some of our real ones, some of our subscribers here on the show. But let's tell you about our sponsor, which we quickly mentioned off the rip, and that is 8 Sleep. Sleep to power a whole new you. There's no better way to improve your day-to-day life better than sleep, and the easiest way to do that is with the 8 Sleep Pod 3. Start the new year right. Invest in the rest that you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Sleep science shows that in order to sleep our best, our body temperature needs to drop in the early and middle part of our sleep and then rise in the morning. Well, the pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs because it can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet, and then it allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just 1 month on the pod. No better way to improve your day-to-day life better than sleep, so do it with 8 Sleep, $200 off, free shipping on the pod cover. Invest in the rest that you deserve. Kickstart the year fully charged, and you'll get a better sleep with 8 Sleep. All of this information is available for you down in the show notes, as well as in the comment section of this video. You put the device right next to your bed. You power everything right from the power of your own smartphone. I'm telling you, this has been a game changer for me as I've been resting a lot better with 8 Sleep. All right, let's take your questions. Let's take your super chats here. Flipping the bird 85 with the $20 super chat here. Cooper DeJean is my first round choice, but I love Troy Fuatano out of Washington. You start him at guard. You have him graduate from Jeff Stoutland University as a starting right tackle when Lane Johnson retires, or Jackson Powers Johnson. Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton, Zach Frazier. My 3 favorite centers in this draft class, I'd be fine with either of them. I'm not sure Philadelphia goes center round 1. I think they either go offensive line, cornerback, wild card. They could go with wide receiver. Cooper DeJean is so intriguing to me. He's my 5th-ranked corner in this draft class. I really like Quinion Mitchell, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, Nate Wiggins, and then Cooper DeJean. But I'm so intrigued by the possibilities of the ways that you can utilize Cooper DeJean. Troy Fuatano, I agree. He's a plug-and-play starting guard right from the jump in this league. Dennis Designs also with a $20 donation. I'm still worried about the middle of the defense, same as last year. I hope Devin White will make a difference. All of the analytical nerds will say Devin White is a terrible football player. He's overrated. And I get it because the Pro Football Focus grades, the Pro Football Focus numbers have not been good. He does not grade out well. But he was good in pass coverage last year. He's still extremely quick. You can include him in some of these blitz packages, allowing him to be a game changer. And I expect Vic Fangio to do that. And when I watch him play, when I turn on the tape, your eyes automatically get attached to number 45 because he's a wrecking ball out there with his ability to wreak havoc with that sideline-to-sideline speed. That's already a massive upgrade from the slop that the Eagles had at the linebacker spot last year. Emmanuel Henderson, $20 super chat. If the Eagles did draft a wide receiver in the 1st or 2nd round, which receiver would be a perfect fit for the Eagles? So it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an outside wide receiver in the 1st round, let's say you're taking a wide out at 22, or you want to move up or maybe trade back a little bit. The wide receiver is within their range because Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze are going to be gone. Would be Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy. Brian Thomas, a lot of size, good speed. A.D. Mitchell, size and speed. Xavier Worthy, smaller, under 170 pounds, but a burner with the record-breaking 4.21 40-yard dash, vertical threat, takes the top off of the defense, Deshaun Jackson-like, and has return ability. And then you think of other players who could go in the 1st round. Ladd McConkey, the slot wide receiver out of Georgia. If you want to go to the 2nd round, you're looking at wide receivers like Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, Malachi Corley, who's kind of a Deebo Samuel clone. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida is another slot guy. Roman Wilson, a slot guy. Dennis Designs, $10. And by the way, I think all of them would be scheme fits. It's just, what are you looking for? An ex-boundary wide receiver or a guy from the inside? Because Devontae Smith can play inside. He can play outside too. Sirianni, a better coach, better this year with all of the type A personalities. I think that the Eagles are better as a football team based solely on being much better at the coordinator positions. It's kind of wild when you think about it, and the moves made sense at the time, honestly, with what Philadelphia did. But they were coming off a Super Bowl, and they went with a first-time offensive play caller in Brian Johnson, who they loved internally, who had come up in the system, who Jalen Hurts has known since he was a kid. It made sense, right? Sean Desai, another up-and-coming defensive coordinator, but he had 1 year of play calling experience. Now, it's drastically different, right? You have Vic Fangio, long-term veteran defensive coordinator in this league, and then Kellen Moore, who's called plays for top 5 offenses consistently for a long sample size. And I think that's, in turn, going to help Nick Sirianni. John Monroe, longtime watcher. Go Birds! What would be your ideal Howie trade-up partner? Yeah, interesting. I think you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers to go from 22 to 20. You're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars to go up from 22 to 17. Maybe you go further in the teens with a team like the Seattle Seahawks, who could look to gather picks and trade back. The wild card one is the Denver Broncos. They're 12th overall, but have no second-round pick. So do you give up 22 and 50, 22, 50, and 53 to go up to number 12? That might be a deal that Denver really likes, and then they get 3 players inside the top 53 to streamline that rebuilding process. Andrew Nathan, RPS, what up, brother? I saw early on X a possible trade with Seattle. We would give up 22 and 50 for Seattle's 16th pick and a third-round pick. Would you make that trade? See, that's what I'm kind of talking about there. And Andrew Nathan, funny guy on X, by the way, great sense of humor. That's the type of trade I think that could make sense for both parties, where the Eagles would have 16 and 53 still. They go up from 22 to 16, and then Seattle gets 22 and 50 if they don't really like how the board is falling at number 16 overall. Astro Design, my opinion is that Howie should draft the best player available at every draft position and take any favorable trades that get us more picks. Do you agree? I agree with the best player available strategy. I always think that is a great strategy to take because you want to get the best players on your football team and then you figure out the rest later, and that's up to the coaching staff to figure that out. And I agree. If there's a trade that makes sense to trade up or trade back to gather picks or get that player that you covet, I'm going that route. Howie Roseman, myself, if I were running a front office, always looking to be aggressive. Dean Kennedy, watching from Harrisburg. Shout out to the 717. What tight end should we target? If Brock Bowers falls to 22, I'd be intrigued, but I think it's a lock that he goes number 10 to the New York Jets. Other tight ends that I like, Jatavion Sanders out of Texas and Jared Wiley out of TCU. Eric Millis, what are your guys' favorite corners in the draft? I have my corner big board that we can pop up here on the show, and it's all very closely contested for the cornerbacks that I really like in this draft class. Quinion Mitchell, he's long, he's fast, great ball skills, toughness, swagger, confidence, dog mentality. Kool-Aid McKinstry has a lot of those same qualities, but he's not as quick. Quinion Mitchell's a 4.3, 4.4, 40-yard dash guy. Kool-Aid's more of a 4.5 runner. Terrion Arnold is quicker than Kool-Aid, also has good ball skills, but not as refined, in my opinion, as Kool-Aid. Nate Wiggins, 4.3, 40 guy. He can make plays on the football and is very talented in that regard, but I worry about the lack of size because he's a string bean. And then Cooper DeJean, just an all-around athlete who can be used as a Swiss Army knife in the defense. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Philadelphia Eagles Now for daily coverage on the Birds. Hit that sub button down below and keep it locked here for daily coverage on Philadelphia. All right. We're up to $86 in Super Chats. Can we get to $100 in Super Chats in the next 2 minutes? If we get there in the next 2 minutes, I will shotgun.
Oh, come on. I want to see the shotgun. Let's get there, baby.
It'll be faster than Xavier Worthy's 40-yard dash.
Let's get there, baby.
Andrew Nathan, good show. Thank you, man.
Thanks, dude.
I think we had another 20 come in. So we'll drink. That was during the show, so I'll give you another shot.
Dennis, with the Sirianni take. There's a Dallas fan that was in here. Taz. Get out of here.
How about them Cowboys? Brian Reed, this is better than ESPN. My man, and I'm glad that your daughter liked the shout out for the profile picture, dude. That's awesome stuff. King Javier, Chase Sr., you forgot to put it on the video. What did I forget to put on the video there, King?
Forgot to put it on the video. Oh, King, he sent his question. King, it was because we had already answered a very similar question.
So we could pop it up now for you, Ken.
Yes, but we can show your question now. Just didn't want to touch on the same thing too many times in the video.
Oh, Eagles need to draft a wide receiver? Yeah. It comes down to how much they value wide receiver 3, if they think it's a pressing need, and then the type of wide receiver that they want. Again, is it an outside wide receiver? Is it a slot? Do you want a vertical threat? Do you want a bigger threat like a Keon Coleman? Johnny Wilson. Sometimes doesn't play up to his size, had a lot of drops. Dennis Designs! That gets us past 100 right before the expiration of the clock. Hope I can join the draft coverage. I will be working. My brother will be working too, but we'll be live Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And you can watch us anytime, any place right here on YouTube. So, yeah, we hope that you, the legendary figure that is Dennis Designs, will be able to join the show.
It's going to be a blast. Gonna be a blast.
All right. Shotgun faster than Xavier Worthy's 40-yard dash coming up right now, and then we'll sign off.
The pressure is on. You guaranteed it. You gave him the Charles Barkley guarantee, so.
Man, I guarantee that I'm a shotgun this bill faster than Xavier Worthy, who's fast. He's very, very fast.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me make the hole bigger. Pause.
Whoa. Reed, who is that on the shotgun picture on the menu?
Some random hole.
Great question.
All right. 421 is the number that we are trying to beat.
You want me to time it?
Yeah, you could time it. On the crack. On the crack.
On the crack. On the crack.
Put your finger on the crack. All right, here we go. Three, 3-1.
3-3-1. 3-3-1.
3-3-1.
Smoked it by almost a full second. That's impressive stuff. That's setting the tone for the draft.
I love how Jordan S. says, Philly choked arguably worse than Dallas. It's been so bad for the Cowboys that they think a regular season collapse is worse than a playoff collapse. Imagine that. I anticipate a crazy Friday draft night. Thursday will be crazy too, Dennis. Thursday will be crazy too. All right, we're going to sign off here. Philadelphia Eagles now in the books. Since the draft is coming up next Thursday, the next time we'll be live, barring any breaking news, that'll just rock the world, is going to be on Thursday. We'll be live an hour, maybe 2 hours before the draft gets underway. Going to be a lot of fun. Brian Reed said pop a top again. We might do that throughout the draft weekend if it gets crazy. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the content. For Chip, I'm Chase. Go Birds. We out.